Hey guys, Chip here, and today I want to show you my workflow when I'm creating 3D prints, at least part of it. This is a particular example. By the way, this is a template I can share with you. It's a bamboo Prusa template. This is the Prusa Mark III printing envelope. That's the bamboo X1C printing envelope. So those are the differences in sizes. And it's also set up with some unique units. Let's see where it was. Yeah, metric at 0.001. So when I export as STL, it exports at the right size. So that's the other thing that's going on here. And my length is in millimeters. So what I want to do is create a cover for this wireless charging device from Samsung. So I have a bunch of Samsung devices. I use their ear pods, and I've got a watch, and I've got a Fold 5. I have to slide it around on this wireless charger until it lights up, and then it says, okay, it's charging. What I want to do is I just want to set it up so that I can just drop my phone on it and it'll automatically just be positioned in the right spot. So the first thing I really need to do is I need to build the actual charger itself. So let's do that first. I use DESIGN MAGIC for most all of this stuff. Now I'll go in here and I'm going to grab just this cube and I'm going to say add insert. It's going to stick it in the middle. What I want to do is I want to change the sizes. I'm going to measure things real quick. Let's see, let's go in here. The width of this is 91 millimeters. So let's call that the X direction. We'll just go in here and say, or no, the Y direction, 91. And then let's get the length. Length is to be about 1 millimeters. So we'll go into the X, say 156. And the height of just the case part, which is the part that I would snap something around, looks to be about 15. Let's make sure. Yeah, 15 millimeters. So let's just go ahead and add that in here at 15. And then let's Control A and let's apply the scale. So this is all 1 in here. Now what I want to do is I want to look at these radiuses. It's got a radius and I want to test, check and see what the radius is going to be. And it looks like the radius is maybe around 18 millimeters, maybe 18 or 17. Let's do it. So I'll just go in here and because it's a kit ops thing, I have a bevel here. I can just call this 18. Let's do 17. 17 and turn it on. And that gives us that. You know, I'm going to right click and say shade flat. I always shade flat when I'm doing this. Let's give this 32. I always shade flat when I'm working in STL. It's kind of a pretty soft radius on the bottom. The top's got a real tiny radius. So what I can do is I can just add another radius to this. Notice I have this weld. You really want to have welds after bevels, especially if they're going to be large bevels and they're going to intersect with each other, which this one doesn't. So this doesn't really matter at this point, but I'll leave it there. So I'm probably going to make this something like, let's try 4, see what that looks like. Yeah, let's go. Maybe that's way too much. Just try 2. That's probably good. And let's make this 12 also. There, you can see that. Now what I want to do is I want to cut off the top flat, and it's not hard to do. I'm going to just tab into this and hit 3, grab this. I want to move it up just a number that I know, 5. Say 5. Okay. And then tab. And then I'm going to basically go into my cutters, right? So this is right here, and grab a square or a cube right here. And I'll make sure my face is turned on here and add insert. We'll drop it right in the middle. Undo. Let's turn off, remove kit ops props from this. And let's add insert. And then we'll just scale this up. Something like that. And move it out. Okay. So now we move it down 5 because that's what we moved it up 5. So let's go down 5 minus 5. And now you can see we have a radius on the bottom, but not on the top. And that's what we want. And if I want to add yet one last for just the top, like a 1 millimeter one, I can do that too. I can select this and now I can add another modifier called bevel. And I'm just going to get this little, like 1, let's do 1. And you can see that this happens nicely. Actually, let's make it 0.5 and let's give it 8 also. And there, so that's really the base of this thing. It's got a little square inset in it also. And so I might add that. Let me take a look. Let me just, yeah, maybe I will. Let's see how I do that. That's going to be, it looks like it goes down about 1 millimeter. So let's add another cutter here. And if I drop it down, -1, and scale it, this one, actually, I might want this to be exactly right. Let's just take a look and see what that number is that we're skipping. That cutout that we want it to be. And measuring it, that's about 83 millimeters. So let's drag that down. So let's just go into here, item. We're just going to make this 83 and X and Y. So grab those two, 83. So that's it. Now, how far off is it from the edge? So let's look at that. And it looks like it's about 4 millimeters off of the edge. I'll grab this and go, oops, let's turn on vertex snapping. And let's move this to right. Let's see. Actually, what I can do is tab into here and hit 3, grab this. I think this will work. Yeah, so that knocks it right there. And we say that that was, what, I say 3 millimeters? 4 millimeters, four. So I just, now it's snapped, just move it over, -4. And I take this one, go into X-ray mode, pull this all the way to here. Now, when I do this, I want to make sure that auto merge is not on. So I'm going to undo that, go over options, turn auto merge off so that I can move this right here. Just so snap directly to that. So those are coincident planes. And remember that the size of that was 83. So I'm going to just move this back -83. If I go back into this, all right, tab out of that, go to tab out of this and go to item, I'll see that I'm at 83, and this is all set at the right spot. Now, all I need to do is make sure that the radiuses are correct. So I'll just go in here, turn this on. And since I'm not going to use these for anything, I'm just going to eyeball it, see what it looks like. That's about right. And now that I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and always use this random feature. And let's take a look at that. So that's what we have right now, a little wireless pad. Let's just save as, and I want to go in 3D print. I'm going to make a new folder called Samsung Wireless Pad. Let's try. Let's call it an adapter. Let's view everything here. Anything I do is going to fit in both the Prusa and in the Bamboo volumes. So I'm going to turn that one off. And then I'll take all of this stuff and move it to new collection. Let's call this a template. So what I've decided I want to do is I want the phone to lay this direction. Actually, let's go ahead and model the phone up real quick. It doesn't have to be very accurate. We just need to know the base dimensions of it. So let's just add on top of here. We know that we want to be centered on that. So we've already got this face right here. So when I select this and I add a new object, it's going to snap right to the middle, right? So I'm already snapped to the middle. I'll just scroll it up to whatever. Something that I like. Then let's just go ahead and measure this real quickly. This is when it's folded. 70 in the X direction. So let's just go ahead and put that in there. 70. And then it's something like 59. This is with the case on it, by the way. I've got one of the cases with it. So 159 in the Y direction. And then the thickness is going to, again, with the case is going to be maybe 18. So it's 8 in the Z. So notice that when I do this, it always scales it from the bottom, right? Doesn't scale it in the middle. And that's one of the nice things about Design Magic inserts is it just does that. Let's just go ahead for the heck of it, add some radiuses on there, Control A, scale, and add some radiuses, maybe 6, something. Yeah, something like that's fine. Actually, the two of them are different than that, but that's going to be all right. So I'm going to take this one now, and I'm going to move it. Let's just call this phone, and let's move this to the template collection. Okay, so that's how that works. Actually, I need to move this up just 1 millimeter because it's going to sit on top of that. So let's move it 1. Okay, so now it's fine. It's sitting in the middle of our charger. It's pretty much exactly where we want it when we charge. So I need to really think about how I want to print this too at the same time. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a new collection and we're going to call this base or adapter. We'll call it adapter. And I think the adapter, let me think about this. Okay, so before I do this anymore, let me go ahead and put the USB port in because that's important. I'll go in here and we're going to minus, and the USB port looks something like this bullet right here. I'm going to just add that insert. It's going to stick it right in the middle. Let's scale it up and let's check the size of this thing. About 8 millimeters. So let's go into item, and in the X direction, yeah, we'll say 8 here, and Y direction, it's going to be 3 millimeters. So Z doesn't matter. Let's do 5, whatever. So it's cutting in like that, and it's centered on the object, and that's pretty much where it is actually. So I'm going to just leave that here. Let's move that to the template area too. So now we can see that we have that. So that's something we have to keep in mind as we're starting to build this. We want to make sure that that's going to be correct. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a lip come up around here, and then I'm going to have it come under here, and I want it to come up over on either side, because over here is where you put the watch and the earpods also. I'm going to take this object here and Shift D it, and I'm going to move that to the adapter. So that's the exact same size as what we have. And I'll use that as, let's just call this cutter for adapter base. Let's try that. Okay. And let's turn off the bevels. Do I need bevels on this? Yeah, I probably do, actually. So let's just leave that. Then let's add another, let's see. Let's add just a cube. Go back into here. We'll add just, this is going to be the adapter. So I'm going to just add that insert. It'll put it, with nothing selected, so I'll put it right in the middle, which is what I want. I'm going to just make it a little bit larger and scale it up. And that cube is, the adapter is in the Y direction. It's 91. So let's grab this and let's make it the Y direction 91. And then let's add 3 millimeters on each side. So 91 plus 3, 94 plus 3 is 97. 91 and 7. Okay, so there we have that. And then we want to move it down 3, minus 3. So then I'm going to basically take this, tab into it, and just let's grab this and stick this over to the edge, just like that. And we'll do the same with this one here, just over to the edge. So we can look at this, and actually, yeah, it needs to stick to that there. And this one doesn't say there. Okay. And then I can take it and move it out 3 this way, 3 from the wall thickness, grab this one and move it out minus 3 that way. Okay. Tab out of that. And now you can see we've got this, and I think the height of this tab, let's grab this, is going to go all the way down to here, and then I'll go up 3, and then I'll Control A, scale it. And that's going to be called, that's the base. And let's move it, move it to the adapter, and let's just make sure we select adapter. So we're going to put everything else there from now on. Okay, so here's our base, and we're going to want to cut this other piece out. Before we do that, though, let me think about this. Come to think of it, I think I want to move it. I'm going to select this, move it to a new collection. We'll call this one archive. I can come back to that, but I always have that as an archive. And I'll take this other one, which is the cutter here. And this template I can turn off. Yeah. So this cutter, I just need to, let's isolate it, and let's just basically get it so that we don't have some of these things on it. So I'm going to turn this difference off and that difference off. Okay, I delete these two. I don't want those. And now with that, let's go ahead and we're going to actually add another modifier to this instead. We're going to add a solidify modifier, and we're going to make it 3 millimeters, and we're going to make it go outside like that. So that's going to be it. And notice it has a top on it, and don't want that. So let's take this bevel right here, this last one, and let's move it down here. That's the, not bevel, it's a difference cube. So now that is using the same cube, but it cut off the top, right? So remember we went up 5, and we're only using 3 millimeter. So that's our base now. Let's take a look at that. And in fact, that cube that we're using for this is this cube right here. Let's Shift D this, and I'm going to call that base top cutter. I'm going to move that to the adapter, turn off our template, and with the top cutter, I want to basically go back in here and I'm going to replace this, right? Toggle stack. Here we go, open this up. Let's delete that. Oops, undo. Let's open this up and we delete this. Huh, that's interesting. That's new behavior. Haven't seen that before. That's right. Let's take this and this, control minus, it does the same thing. Okay, this is now going to be our base that we're going to drop our wireless in, but it doesn't need to be this big. Actually, I can take this and let's drop it down about, let's do that. And we'll turn the template back on and we can see that, oh, looks like our template in our object here. Delete that. Must have, somehow they were connected. They shouldn't be connected, but I could say object relations, make single user object and data. That'll work. Just in case they were somehow linked. I don't know why. I thought I just duplicated them, but they were somehow linked. But anyway, the only issue here is that this object, if I viewport this guy right here, it's a real tight fit. So if I want to add just a little bit to each side, that's probably like 0.0 millimeters, maybe 0.1, maybe yeah, let's do 0.2. So I'm going to add 0.2 to each one of these. Okay. So this is 156.2 and that's 91.2. So that's going to give us just a little bit bigger. If you look at this now, control I scale, I can't scale correctly anyway, but if you look at this, you can see that we have just a little bit of a gap in. Okay. So now we have this. Now all I need really is a way to capture this on its side and the end. I can probably print this up. And in fact, both of these can go off. Now that's flat. And so that will set down quite nicely and be printed quite nicely. I could take this one right here and make it a 1 and turn it on. And that'll print also quite nicely, which I might just do that. That's a 45. So make sure my scale's right. Yeah. That's a 45. So that'll print quite nicely as well. So we'll do that. And this one is 32. Okay. So now that's done, we need to next add on these pieces. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna hide that bevel because I know I want to add some pieces on. Let's take this and let's move it up 8 or 9. I think, yeah, okay, that's good. And I'll throw another cutter in there. But that's going to hold that piece right in there, right? That should hold that. And that'll hold that one right there. And then I just need to cut off this stuff. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this, the lower one, Shift D, duplicate that. That's going to be now top cutter 2 adapter. I'm going to tab into that one, hit 3, and we want him to come all the way to there. Oops, wrong way, to here. And we want this one to cut all the way to here and cut that out like that. And then I'm going to take that and Shift D it on the X. Let's get myself a little room right like that. And let's subtract it from here. So now we have something that looks like this, and that will actually hold it in place, except we don't have any stops on the ends, which is the next thing we need to add. So we can do that, but that holds that in place nicely. And I can still get my watches in there. In fact, let's just move this up a little. Let's undo. Let's grab this, move it up, something like that. And let's tab into that and hit 2, grab that edge, and let's give it a weight item. We're going to give it an edge weight of 1, and let's hit a edge weights of 0 for everything, and then give that one an edge weight of 1. And then we'll tap out of it and turn this bevel on, and you can see what happens there. It just basically makes that a bevel. Alt-Shift-C. You can see what that looks like, right? And because it's not scaled correctly, it's going to give us this longer bevel, which is fine. So meaning if I Control A and scale it here, or if I look at my scale's off, in the X direction is a lot more than the others, but that's fine. So what I want to do then is let's look at, if I just do 1, what does that look like? And then I can just tab and 3, hit this, oops, hit that, move it up And I could probably get this to be something that's going to work for me like that. Tab out of that. So there. So that works nicely. Okay. Now, this is fine. This is fine. I think I'm going to take this cutter, the one that cut this thing up, which is this one right here, and Control A, scale it. Let's scale it. And let's add one. Let's add 0.2 in the X dimension. So make it 70, or make it 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. I'll just make it 71 or 72, 2 millimeters. Yeah. So it's going to go 2 millimeters. Oops. Undo, that's not going to work. So tab into here and we're going to go 1 millimeter here, or let's do 2 here. Now one there. So this is going to give it a little room to breathe. Let's move this over and make that -1. Okay. So now tab back out. That looks pretty good. Notice I'm getting this right here. So what does that mean? If I hit the period key, a lot of times that'll fix it, but I could also go into this view menu, and sometimes I just need to make the end, the clip, the end being like, instead of 1,000, make it 10,000 or something like that. But the problem is that makes it a little less accurate, but that's all right. That's all right. We're okay. It really doesn't make the accuracy. It might make the view a little less accurate, but doesn't make anything else less accurate. So that's going to cover here. Now, if I want to raise these, which is, I want to do that. I think I'm looking at this going, that's probably not. I'm going to grab both of these cubes. Let's turn off template first. So I'll grab this one, and let's just move them up. Oops, undo, wrong one. I want to move this guy up. Let's move him up. Let's move up to 1. So that's pretty close. Now I'll take this guy and I'm going to move him over a little bit. And that's a little too sharp. So let's go ahead and Control A, scale it, and then go back into this bevel and make it 5. There we go. Something like that. Okay. That's going to work. Now this is 3D printable, so that works good too. Next thing I want to do is I want to add some supports for the actual phone. So let's look at that. So here's the phone. I need something to capture it. It's on the sides. I need something to capture it on the back and the front too. So the way I think I'll do that is I'm going to go in to this object and I'll add a positive union cube, and I'll add the insert right about, let's see, where do I want to put it? Okay. And so I need to move this, has to go down to this edge right there, which snaps to nicely. Tab into it. This face needs to go down to right there, because that's where it's going to print up from. This face needs to come out to here, and then we're going to go E on that face and 3, and then E, and let's move it up to that spot right there. Okay. And then Q, we're going to basically say link flag faces. That's going to go all the way over to something. Maybe just put it somewhere right here. Beginning of that one. Q, link flag faces, select link, and do the same thing. All the way over to here. Okay. And then that will print without any issues. And let's tab that, and let's take that, and I want to mirror it. So I'm going to go add, this bevel. Let me think, do I want any bevels on this? Let's turn it on and see what happens there. I'll figure that out later. Let's go ahead and delete all the modifiers, add a mirror modifier to it. I want to mirror on the Y direction, and I want to mirror about, it doesn't matter, this object's fine, so that's fine. So now we have it on both sides. Let's tab into it, hit 2, we're going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, add modifier, bevel, top of the stack, doesn't really matter, but I like to keep them there. Make sure that we assign it a weight, and how does that work? That's not bad, actually. See, that's what we have. Now, the bottom goes a little deeper than that, and it's got a little fan on it. So let's think about that. Let's see how much deeper it goes. Let's make sure I can get that. So the bottom is going to sit It's about overall 18 millimeters. So let's look at the height. The height of that piece is 15. So we want to go 18. So we need to go 3 more down on this. So go there, tab into that and select just the bottom. And we go down 3 minus, let's say 3.2, something like that, to give it a little room for just the tolerance buildup. And with that done, I want to make sure that over this area, in the middle of that, I want to put a fan. So the way I can do that is I really want to actually center it perfectly. So I can actually go in and let's just select our object, go here. And this is already centered perfectly, right? So I'm going to Shift T and right click on that. And I'm going to drop it down, just something arbitrary, doesn't really matter. And move it to the adapter. And let's just call it alignment, align fan. Let's call that align fan. Okay, so we got that. And let's turn it into this. Let's go back out and let's turn off our template again. And what I want to do is I want to cut out. I'm going to cut out into here. So I'll hit this and this, Command plus. Okay, so now I've got that centered. Now I'm going to go into my kit ops. So I'll look into here, these arrays. I've got some different cutters in here that I might be able to go down and adjust. Let's use this one. Need to add it. There we go. And let's just do this. Yeah, I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to do that. Let's grab this, X, delete. Let's move it down, cut out everything for us. Which it does. Tab A, find that one. Let's just stretch this out. Yeah, has to be fine because that's just, we just need a little ventilation in there. That's it. This object, tab 3, I realize this has to go down and snap to here. And I might hollow it out, but maybe not. Let's tab, Control A, scale. So that's good. That fixed some of the stuff. That's still printable. Let's look at our bevel 100. Yeah, that gets that back to where it was. And then when you do that, you're going to have to, add on top of that a weld because we are smashing these right next to each other. So I'm going to put the weld right up here and that'll make sure that it continues to stay Boolean friendly. Okay, let's go ahead and add a negative on here. Take a cube, add insert, put it right there. Let's go down this much. Tab 3, grab this guy. He's going to go to the intersection right there. That needs to go out. Let's go out about 1 millimeter or 1. And then I've got this cutout, which is this guy right here. So you go here, this guy right here, tab 3 here. I go 1 this way, tab, and this is kind of face right here. And that needs to go 1. Ding. Let's do it this way. That goes 1 this way. In case you're wondering how I'm switching back and forth between this and this, it's an add-on that comes with KitOps, and it's just called Toggle VP Display. It tells you how to use it in the documentation as well as here. It's basically Control Shift Alt with this Z. You just keep Control Shift Alt Z. It just toggles between the wireframe, bounding box, and solid. We'll just leave it. It doesn't really affect anything, just visibility. It looks like things are in pretty good shape. The only thing I might say is that I might want to extend this. So let's go ahead and save this. Control S. Let's take this right here, this toggle all, and maybe this last one right here. Maybe that's better. I just use a light infill on that. That might be just better all around. Now, if I want to add fillets and stuff to things, I could do that by just converting this to a mesh. But at this stage, I typically don't because I want to print it out and test it. And then at the very last thing I'll do is I'll come in and I'll turn it into a mesh and I'll just go around and add fillets on everything or something like that. So let's save this, select this. I hit Q, or I have Q STL right here, but I'll just do it. File, export, STL, and gives us the name. I want to make sure I have selection only. That's the key thing here. Export STL. So let's go into Mavic Studio and let's see what happens there. Let's say new project, and I'll just say add right here, this button. And we're going to go into wireless charger. There it is. So load it up. There we have it. And then I can, it looks like it's good. Let me go into my objects. This will tell us I have a problem. No problems at all. Let's slice it. Let's see, we have ASA right now. I don't want ASA. Let's just put it on, how about Pet G or something? Let's do this one. 3. See that one? We can see it better. Slice it. And okay, so I don't want the brim. So let's go back into our prepare and global, and we're just going to go other is brim type, no brim. Okay, and we slice it again. And it's going to take us an hour, 15 minutes to print, so I can test it out. Oh, the other thing I should mention is that we forgot to put the hole for the USB charger. So let's go back real quick, fix that. Let's go and turn on our template. Looking at that, and yeah, there it is. So let's add a cutter, and I'm going to put this on no snap mode. Okay, add insert. Just put it close to where I want it, right about there. And let's turn our template off for a second. I know it's the right size. Okay, so bevel it, bevel higher, Control A, scale. Okay, I can say 50. So that'll give me that. Let's cut it all the way through. That should print fine. And let's go ahead and turn the template back on. Yeah, we can see that. Okay, over just a little bit. Let's make sure it's big enough that we can get our plug in there. In fact, let's move it up about this big. And I think that'll be good. And then save it, Q, STL, make sure selection only, export STL. Let's go back into Bamboo here. Let's go back into our pair, right click and say reload from disk. See, we got that right there. I don't think that's going to be a problem as far as that bridge. It's a pretty small bridge. So if let's slice that plate again, and you'll see that, yeah, we're still at an hour and 50 minutes. Anyway, let's go ahead and do a print. We'll take a look at it. Okay, I printed it out and everything fit really nice. It's great fitting, except this little connector turns out, this one isn't quite right. So it needs to be sitting about 3 millimeters up from the bottom. So take that, then we'll drag it there and we'll move it up, and let's just move it up about 3. And with that done, I need to really adjust this one here. So this one needs to be also big enough that it can fit too. So let's go ahead and turn back on our adapter. So that's going to work. And of course the adapter is going to cut through there. So that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And the other issue I had is that I also need to do 2 more things. I need to add a little hole in the bottom. This thing fits in really snugly. So I like that, but I want a hole in the bottom so that I can push out the charger. So let's just go back into here, and I'm going to just take a cylinder and I'm going to grab this, and let's go face mode and add insert and stick it right there. Oops. That doesn't look like it's in the center, but that's okay. I can just go item Y is going to be 0. So I just move it to 0. Let's move it down here. So this is going to give me a hole. Scale it up a little bit, and let's turn off templates. And let's move this up, something like this. Punch it out. I think we're good. Okay. So that gives us a hole that we can actually punch out the bottom of. And the last thing I want to do is, if this sits on a table, these are going to be blocked. And I have these little tiny plastic feet. And so I just want to actually put a little indent for where those feet go. So let's take a look and figure out what size they are. Looks like they're about 10 millimeters. So let's make them 11 millimeters. So I'll just go right here. And with this selected, we'll go back in here and we'll grab our insert. We're going to add it right here. And I'm going to hit N. So I'll move it something like, I don't know, somewhere right, maybe right about here. There. And scale it up. And I can just go into the item. And that's, so I want to make this 11. Let's make it 11. So that's going to be a little hole cut out. And if we look at it from this viewpoint, we can see that we want to go up just a, let's see, let's go up 0.25, just a quarter of a millimeter, and maybe 0.3, not much, just enough to see what we're doing. And with that selected, let's go back into KitOps and let's just mirror this on the Y. There it is. And then we can select the first one, Shift D X. Let's move them. Let's move right about there. It's probably good. And we make sure that's also subtracting. And now we're good. Let's see. I think we're real good. Now what I want to do is I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix some of these bevels areas. So I'm going to take this, and I know that this is that, and I'm going to turn that bevel off. And is there another bevel on there? Tab. Yeah, there is. This, I think, too. Let's just grab this. I don't know where that bevel got made, but anyway, so we're going to do that. I'm going to hit A, X, and we're going to say limited dissolve. So I get rid of these lines in there, so it just keeps them clean like that, because I'm going to add bevels to it. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and add some fillets and stuff to it. So I'm going to Shift D it, duplicate it. There it is. And that one, I'm going to move to a new collection, and I call this collection Mesh. So this is the last step I do when modeling for 3D prints. And now I can turn the adapter off, and I can turn the inserts off, and I can go right to Mesh, and I'll just come in here. And actually, before I do that, let's grab this one here. Wrong direction. So let's tab into here. And I'll go to this items right here. And okay, set all those to 0. Now I'll go to, hold the control key, click here. I get all those edges, set all those bevel weights to 1. And then I can, with this bevel turned on, I can actually make it segments 12 and this 100. And I need to make sure I add a weld after that for everything to work correctly. Weld, put the weld there, and then I'll hit 3, grab me this, let's pull this down. And let's just make these just a little bit larger there. So then we get a little more airflow. I'm going to grab something like this and add that insert. Let's see, let's go into wireframe mode so I can see what's going on. Okay, so if that's one face in there. So if I tab out of this, tab into this, I see I have a face there. So I can add this in the face mode, add insert right here, and scroll it up, something like that. And let's turn the inserts out. Let's just make sure we get this to cut all the way through. And that's going to be our pattern for underneath here. And so that looks, a little better, a little more interesting. Okay, take this, Shift D, right click, and let go, and then move that selection to Mesh. And then we turn adapter off. And now we have this, and now it's very easy just for us to go under here, object, apply, visual geometry to mesh, and that gets rid of all. So this is all now a mesh. So now I can come in here and I can start affecting the bevel on this. First things first, let's only work on half of this. So to do that, we'll go to Edit, Auto Mirror. Let's do Y negative, and then Auto Mirror it. Let's tab into this, hide this out. And okay, so you can, that we're seeing these dots from in here, and that's because our view is set too high here. So if I take out one of those zeros, we talked about this earlier, take out one of those zeros, they'll go right away. So that works too. So I want to select this, and you can see that G, if I move it, that's all the way. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to try and say this and this, Control X. That doesn't work. Okay, it's because there's no vertex here or here. So let's go ahead and do that first. So create 2, and then right click and say subdivide, and then go to 1. So now we have this, and select just that one and hit GG twice. Okay, and then we're going to snap it right there. So now we have 2 vertices on top of there. So let's just grab both of these. Yeah, so I have 2 vertices there. Merge over here. I can see 2 vertices, and we get that merge at center. Okay, so That one's good. Now let's go back. Sometimes you have to go to X-ray to be able to select both of them. And then this one's going to have the same problem, I think. And I'm going to right click on it and say subdivide and go to vertice mode, select this GG and hold the control key down, snap to that, Alt Z, select both of these and say merge at center. Okay, tab. Now, my guess is that I could probably go 3, Control X. Yeah, that'll work that way. Okay, so that's good. So what I want to do next is I want to take this, Control Shift, click there. I'm holding the Control and the Shift key down here and here. So it looks like I may have to just do this one manually, which is fine because we're at that part of this. Okay, so we're going to do the same over here. And we'll go to 2 and we'll select that. Alt Shift Control click. Alt Shift Control click here. Control B. Let's pull that out, something like that. That's going to be a little bit. That should be just fine right there. I'll put the mirror back on, and that looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and maybe add a little bevel to these guys here. This one, and say Control B. These will bevel just a little bit, something a little less than what we had before. So like that. And I think that should be it. So I'm going to tab out of this, and then we're going to File, Export, STL, Selection Only. That's it, Export STL. Go back into Bamboo. Here we are. Let's go to Prepare. Right click on this and say Reload from Disk. And there we have it. We have all our new stuff. It's got these are up, but even though those are undercuts, they're not going to be a problem at all. So let's just do this. And now let's print this and we'll come back and take a look at it. Okay. After printing, I had to make a few adjustments. I had to fix the vent design as we did not have the Boolean insert that we showed. I enlarged the knockout hole on the back and I added a texture detail on the top of the surface. That was done using DESIGN MAGIC and an existing insert. I just dragged on and rotated it and everything worked fine. So this is the bottom of it. And you can see I added the little 4 rubber feet, and there you can also see the vent detail. And this is what it looks like without the phone on it. I've got some ear pods sitting on the right, and then you can see it here with the actual phone on it. If you're interested in this file or the printing template file, you can get them at my $1 Patreon. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you online. Bye.